podcast, TruthSeekah's podcast. Buckle up, everyone. We're going to talk aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spiritual and paranormal. From all of the three moons, beyond your wildest dreams. Nice.
TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark Savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. Excited and delighted to be with you guys again today for this beautiful podcast. Giving thanks and praise. The internet is working great, and I'm able to bring forth a steady connection, which helps a lot. So yeah, we're gonna get it in today. I want to give a huge shout out to all the Patreon supporters, everybody who's supported my work via Patreon. Couldn't do this without you guys. This is a listener supported show, so thank you guys for making this happen. Shout out to some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. Shout out to Paula Fields. And who else we got here? Jordan Swaggerty. Thank you guys for believing in the work, coming on, and partnering. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is 200 plus songs. You get access to extra behind the scenes podcast, our Thursday night School of the Mystics, which is the community aspect to what we're building here. Sunday morning seer class is something that we're doing as well. Bunch of cool stuff. My meditations, all of it is available via Patreon. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. This show will be out live Monday, and then we would have done the Christ Consciousness Conference by then. But for those of you listening live, make sure that you join us here Saturday, September the 14th for the Christ Consciousness Conference here in Mobile, Alabama. So we're putting this on ourselves. I'm going to be speaking, teaching on color healing, sound healing, light, vibration. Gothic Mystic's going to be there. He's going to be sharing about dream interpretation and symbolism. And Justin Caldwell will be playing music and bringing in the prophetic presence of God. So it's going to be awesome, man. Looking forward to meeting with all you guys. We got people traveling from across the country to be here. So, yeah, looking forward to hanging out with everybody, getting dinner, and just doing life. That's what we do. Yeah, Christ Consciousness Conference. September the 14th. Make sure you check it out. If you're not able to attend, there's live stream options available as well. You can go to truthseekah.com or christ-consciousness.com for that info as well. One more announcement. You guys, I just shared this on social media the other day. I thought I was done with my book. I'm still working on it. Every time I think I'm done with it, like, okay, it's good, there's all of these other things that come to me, all these other downloads and topics and things that I left out. So I'm trying to do it due diligence, and everything that's coming to me, I'm trying to be a good channel of the information and put it in the book. So still working on that. And then like I said, I got the update from Jordan Maxwell, who agreed to write my foreword in the book and kind of co-signed. So we got that back from him, and he's got it edited and sent over to me, and he's got a nice promo, and he goes in about the subject matter that I'm covering in the book as well: the spirit realm, angels, demons, spirits, and how they operate within the sovereignty of God. So that's a huge honor for me to have Jordan Maxwell co-sign and kind of write the forward in the book. So it's almost done, and as soon as it's done, you guys will get the email updates and all that stuff if you're subscribed to the list at TruthSeekah.com. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the podcast. I'm going to bring in today's guest. Today's guest is the author of the new book, Walking with My Angels. This is Keith Leon. Don't forget the S. Keith Leon S. Welcome to the podcast, bro. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Angels. There's so much we can say about it. So much that we've heard. So many TV shows, art, music, Renaissance. Like they've been here for a very long time. Some people have been, I would say, privy to have encounters with them. Maybe to have seen them manifested into our reality. I think, as you explain in your book, everybody's probably experienced them in some shape or form. But we're gonna hear your story again. Walking with My Angels. This book is about your encounter with your angels and bringing that to the table. And you talking about walking forward and helping other people encounter their angels as well. But let's start off at the beginning, man. Like, what was the inspiration behind the book, and why did you feel the need to write about these encounters, man?
Well, 30 years ago, I was told to write the book by angels, by entities, by beings of light. You know, they revealed to me my purpose and told me that I was going to write this book. And so they kind of put me on my path, and over the years have been telling me my next step. And so I waited impatiently for a very, very, very long time for them to say, it's time to write that book. And then even once I wrote it in 8 days, right? 8 days. I wrote 3 books that we edited down into this book. And then it was like, okay, wait, and it's been like 2 years since I wrote it, and I edited it and got it all ready, and then just waited for when they told me to release it. So it goes. The beginning goes way back, but I love what you said. Like, I want to start off by qualifying. Like, I have had personal experiences with angels, so I call it angels, but you may call it intuition. You may call it God, spirit, universe, divine download. Whatever you call it, like, it doesn't matter what you call it as long as you call it.
Can we call it all those names?
Yeah, absolutely. any and all, and it's just about to really experience it, right, and to notice it and be aware. Then it's to do what I teach called sit, ask, and listen. So a lot of us are sitting, right, prayer and meditation. A lot of us are asking, prayer, meditation. And then we get up and go about our business and forget about it. So the way that I have had all these experiences is in the listening. And that's when I really need an answer to a question, then I don't move until I get the answer. So I could sit 2 days sometimes and not move other than go to the restroom and eat lunch and dinner and just come right back to the question. Or if I have to get up and get out in the world, then I keep spinning that same one question over and over again and go out into the world and watch how my universe provides the answers. Or in the space between 2 breaths, the answer drops in. And so it's the listening is the key part. We have so much noise going on, right? We got so much noise now everywhere we go that it's easy to fall out of that habit of truly listening for the answer, that divine guidance.
Yeah, there's different ways to listen too, right? Listening, because we have our, and I think the listening kind of comes through, like some of the things that you said a while ago, listening through the Holy Spirit speaking to me, my intuition, my gut feeling, or whatever the case is. But then sometimes it's that still small voice. Right. And let's just talk about this, because like a lot of times even though we mention all of this stuff and, oh, this is my angel speaking, no, this is Jesus speaking, no, this is the Holy Spirit, a lot of times it all sounds the same. It's that nudge, and we interpret it through whether it's our third eye or our sixth senses and, chill bumps and things like that, or synchronicities and signs. How are they speaking, and like, what's the best ways to like interpret it? I know we can have like angelic encounters where they appear in the bedroom or whatever. That totally happens, but I think they're speaking a little bit more, even though we just don't see them with our sight. We may see them with second sight, or we can see the signs that they're around. What are some of the different ways to know that they're around?
Through other people. If you're really focused on that one question and you're bringing focus to that, somebody might walk up to you and just deliver the answer and walk away. You don't even know that person. You're like, what? Right? You could be focusing on that question. You flip the channel, and then the next song gives you your answer. So it's like, and in nature, you can just know something that you didn't know the second before, that you could never access with your head, and you tried, and then all of a sudden you just know. So that's the beauty and the miracle of God is just so good. It can show up in every way, and it's the focus on the one question and tuning out the noise, so that when the question comes, you don't just like, it goes right by you and you didn't notice it. And then you're like, why can't I get the answer to this question? And God's like, I gave it to you 3 times already, right? 3 times, and you just didn't hear it. So I've seen answers show up in so many ways. And so like going old school, back in the day when I was young, when we wanted to tune in the radio, we had this dial we had to turn and you turn the dial left and right, and you're trying to get the station tuned in. But once you got it to that perfect place, man, it sounded brilliant, and it was perfectly tuned, and it sounded so sweet and so good. And that's what this is like, developing that muscle of truly listening. So you're tuning in, and once you get it tuned in, and you're like, oh, I get it, ask the question, and then really, really listen for the one answer before I move on to the next one. And then it shows up in so many different ways, and you'll even notice, like, wow, look how Spirit's been showing up for me all the time, and I didn't even notice, right? So many forms, many different ways.
That's awesome you say that. I mean, we hear that analogy a lot, but I used to travel back and forth when I was a kid, back and forth from Florida to Louisiana, and there was a radio station in Louisiana that I couldn't wait to pick up. And I would sit there and I would try to dial it in the closer and closer we got, and I could barely pick it up. And I know we're on this journey, and I know we're headed this way, and I know that station's out there, but I'm just trying to fine tune it in. Even if you could just pick it up a little bit, and then eventually you're getting closer. You're on your journey, getting closer and closer. And then you hear the frequency coming in loud and clear. That's awesome, because like, we don't always have the full signal. We don't always have the full dreams and interpretation and know how it's going to manifest. I mean, sometimes we do. We're talking about this stuff very nonchalantly. It's just kind of part of everyday life now for us, right? For you, your book, this is what you do. But there was a time in your life where you didn't have all of this info. You didn't have all of this knowledge and just stuff we're just talking about. Like it's everyday stuff. You come from kind of a dark place, and they kind of showed up in your life when you needed them. Talk a little bit about that place where you was just like in this place of brokenness looking for answers, and then this is when the miracle happened,
Yeah. Well, in my early 20s, I call my deep, dark drug phase, I had, like you said, so much trauma growing up. Mom was manic depressive and mostly depressive in the bed, and was not really there for me. And my father was gone when I was 2. So I basically raised myself. And thank God I could hear my guardian angel when I was a little child, because he kept me out of so much danger and saved my life many times as a child. But flashing forward, by early 20s, I was drinking and drugging and doing anything I could to not feel, not process my childhood and all those things that had happened to me. Like, I didn't want to look at it. It was so nasty. And so I was just tuned out. And so I got a job bartending at this blue collar bar. And day one, there was this guy that was just sitting at the bar, and he was just like mysterious and quiet, and he had this cool vibe. And I was just like, man, what's going on with this guy? And he barely said a word, but when he spoke, everyone was leaning in. like, ooh, what's he saying? So I'm intrigued. And so I get to know this guy, and eventually I'm like, hey, you want to go hang out after work? And he's like, okay. And I'm still doing the same thing. I'm drinking, I'm partying, but I'm hanging with this dude. And as we got to know each other, at one point he'd already tested the waters and asked me about what I thought about psychics and what did I think about, all that. And I was just like, nah, my belief system was nil at that point. So at one point he said, do you trust me? And I said, yeah. He said, well, let me, that ring you have on? And now this ring, my stepfather, who my mom had a very short courtship with, and they got married in like 3 months, and then he died 5 days after the wedding. I had that ring on that he had died with it on, and I was the only person that touched that ring other than my mom. And so he took that ring and he put it in his hand, and he did what's called a life review. And so he took me from the day I was born. My dad left when I was 2. My mom was mannequin in the bed. My sister was trying to raise me, but she couldn't do it. And I had this guardian angel and blah, blah. And he's like, took me through all the way through when that man got killed, my stepfather. And I could tell he saw it because he was like, oh God, and then he gave me the ring back and said, I could have waited my whole life without seeing that. And so there was no Google back then, folks, no Google. So there's no way he could have known any, let alone everything that he told me about my childhood. So I started to believe in him at least, right? Well, at least this guy has the gift of sight. And so he would tell me more things. He started predicting events, world events, what was going to happen in my next day. He would say, and everything that he said was coming true to 100% accuracy. So finally, we're really good friends. And he says, do you trust me again? I said, sure, yeah, I do. And he said, okay, so I guess I'll tell you. It's time to tell you. I said, tell me what? He said, all right, so you know how people call people that do good deeds, earthbound angels? I said, yeah. He said, well, that's like an interpretation, but what really earthbound angels are is a etheric angel, right, whose spirit, who is in a body. So, and in a body for a very specific reason. And so we are, and I noticed he said we, so I know now he's one of them. We are assigned to certain people to keep them from dying before their predetermined expiration date. And if they would, and so I've been assigned to you, and if you die before you're supposed to, which you will if you stay on the same path, right, it has a not so great effect on the planet. That's the word he used. A not so great effect on the planet. And I'm like, well, what do I got to do with the planet? What do I have to do with that? And he said, so I will work with you to take you from believing in nothing to believing in everything, because I need you to believe in everything to be able to step into your purpose. And then once I get you clear and you're believing in everything, then I will reveal to you your life purpose. And then at some point during that process, I will save your life. And once I do that, you have to let me go, because then I'm on to the next person. I'll have my next assignment. So a lot to drop on somebody who's just barely starting to open up, and no pressure, right? No pressure. You're only have an effect on the planet in a major way. And so it was a lot to wrap my mind around. So he did spend well over a year, about a year and a half, taking me to get to do all the things that I didn't get to do because I didn't have a father, and teaching me lessons along the way, showing me miracle after miracle. Because like I'd see a miracle on Monday, and by Tuesday I'd be like, nah, I'd have myself talked out of that. I even saw a miracle the day before, right? and he would do things, and he'd have me do things, and I was sent on what they call missions, sent out on a few of those, and so much happened to take me from believing in nothing to believing in everything. And that's really my favorite part of the book, is that time, like sharing just some of what happened during that time and how he got me there, because they were all teaching moments, and the most profound teaching moments that I still carry with me today.
Wow. Was he a religious man at all? Did y'all go to any religious gatherings?
He was a religious gathering. Yeah. He and I we spent our time together. And then there was another guy who I met at work his name was Larry, and he's in the book as well. And he was the spiritual guy. And so he and I would attend church services and all of that. And so there's a point in the book, like all these things happen with Larry that are supernatural and out of this world. And then all these things happen with my angel, John. And then there's even another angel that appears later. And basically at the end of the book, I'm like, so my question to you is, were all these angels different angels, or are they all the one? Showing up in different forms? You make the call, right? And I leave that to you to decide. I know what I believe, and I know what I think is the truth, but that's not what matters. It's what you believe, because that's going to serve you. And so no, I had
But yeah, so here's something that we talked about on the podcast the other day that I brought up. Is like, we have some of those encounters, right? You meet this person and they give you some crazy revelation. They show you something about yourself. I mean, it's something when it's a complete stranger, who steps out, and then you find out, like, to you it's an angel, and then you find out they have a job and they have a family. And I wonder if, like, sometimes these angels, the book of Hebrews says that we entertain angels unaware. I wonder if sometimes these angels will, like, sign up and, what I mentioned they work at Jiffy Lube and be a regular citizen for that time period, and then just go be another person or withdraw or whatever. Do they incarnate through human bodies and they're just on this assignment the whole time? It's very interesting. Do you think that it can happen like that? Like, this was an angel, but he was eating and drinking and like us. I
asked him what did he did wrong? What did you do wrong to get this assignment? Because at one point I realized, like, he had to go into my town, get a job, get a place, right? Fill the place with furniture or whatever. Like, find me, come there, get to know me enough that I would invite him home, get to know me enough that he could put the ring in and do the thing and make me a believer. And then that starts day one of my training, right? So all that just before we even start. And then in my head, I was so thick and so ornery and so stubborn that it took me a year and a half to get there. So it's like, wow, like, and so he said, well, he goes, I love that you say that, what did I do wrong? Because, sometimes there is part of it that feels like that. And the blessing, the blessing is that I'll live for a very, very, very long time, and I will live to see you live into your purpose, and I'll get to see all of that. And then when I see the difference you've made on the planet, and that's because I took this time with you, then it's all worth it. And that's been happening for so many years, as I keep getting to see the fruits of his labor, right? So he gets to see how the work that he did helps shift everything, and those people live into the purpose that they were here for instead of dying prematurely, which is what would have happened to me for sure.
Yeah, that's something I want to ask you about too, because there's these different notions or whatever that you can do anything and you're not going to go until it's your time, and that God or the angels will watch over you so that you fulfill your destiny. Is that contingent upon our free will to work with it? Like, say if you turn your back on it and you get in drugs and you're conscious of it and you're just out there tempting, God and the angels and stuff, and you turn your back on it. Like, because we see there's a lot of people who kind of get off the path and they go that route and then they pass. Did the angels keep them and that was their time? Or some people can leave prematurely? I mean, we look at the Bible, the Apostle Paul, he talked about it a lot. And, they were even trying to kill the disciples and apostles, and they would boil them and try to cut them. And they were doing all this crazy stuff, and they couldn't even hurt them because it was not their time to go. Like, but was it because they were on the right path and following those signs and things?
Yeah, what I was taught is that we have an agreement, and it's going to happen when it happens. And the only time that there's deviation from that is why I would say, like, we all have a guardian angel, right? At least one. And they have two jobs: love us unconditionally. No matter what, they love us. Second, get us to our predetermined expiration date. So anything other than that, we have to ask because of free will. We have to ask for anything other than love us, get us to that date, right? And so if we are, we OD, right? then to me that was predestined. We agreed to do that, no matter how bad and how dark it got along the way. That was why we were here. So they're trying to pay attention to the things like there's so many moving parts now. It's like not like the Old West when we'd die either from a shootout or get ran over by a covered wagon, right? Yeah. It's not like that anymore. We got planes, trains, automobiles, gang fights. There's so many ways we could expire that they're like on watch. Right. And so when they have to step in, sometimes that's when you hear like mom lifts car off baby. Right. Or you go and swerve in a certain way and you're like, I do not know how to drive like that. Right. All those things are angel intervention, them stepping in to keep you here until your destiny. But when we sit by a loved one, and they're in a hospice and we don't want to let them go, right? We want to keep them here because we love them and all of that. And so, and then they pass and then we're like, why would they take them before their time? It was always their time, right? And except for the few points where those accidents happen, it was their time. And, but they don't leave us, right? That's the good news it's like we are spirit in this form. We're energy. And so we decided, I'm going to break off into this energy, into this body, because I want to experience what it's like to experience everything, not just all good all the time, heart music all the time. I'm bored of that. I've been doing that for eternity, right? So I want to show up. I want to experience love and hate. I want to experience peace and war. Yeah. I want to experience all that. I want that, right? And even when it doesn't feel good, I want to live to remember what I forgot. Like, that's why I'm here, right? I just want to remember all that. And that's why I sit and pray and meditate and do all of that. So it's all for a divine purpose. And so that's why over the years, I've noticed and what I really put an awareness to is that everything that felt what I would term bad, like it felt bad, like a punch in the stomach when it happened to me, right? My divorce from my practice wife, which I talk about in the book, right? My first wife, Angel told me I'd be with her. Didn't say I'd be with her forever. I was with her for 13 and a half years. When we broke up, that did not feel good at all. But everything that doesn't feel good, when I look at it later, like say a year later, right? I go, I see the blessing in that. Mm-hmm. I see the blessing. I can always see the blessing in what didn't feel good later. So what I've developed is a muscle that when I get that punch in the stomach, to call it good right then. I say, I see you, I feel you, and you don't feel good right now, but I'm going to call it good because I know that there's a lesson here. I know that this is for me, not against me. I know even though it feels bad right now, I'm just going to call you good. And when I do that, I notice that the way that it's good and the why that it's good shows up so much faster. I don't have to wait a year to find it. Sometimes I can find it in that moment. Mm-hmm. And when I look at it and say, I'm not feeling it, but I know you're good. And then 2 days later I go, and then I could move forward from there instead of staying up in it or avoiding it forever, which is what I got to be so good at for so long, right? Was avoiding.
Yeah, for me, those are tests. It's funny you mention that because, I talk about this a lot, but I spent a good bit of time yesterday writing about that in my book. It's just like, they're like tests. And like, it almost seems like the way to pass those tests when you get those punches in the stomach or whatever is like to respond with love, to respond with perfect peace. Don't let it pull you out of your character. Know who you are. It's trying to deviate. It's trying to check. It's trying to make sure that you truly believe in what you're telling everybody. You believe it's testing your faith. And it's like, hold on, why do you love God or you love, God whenever everything's going good? But the moment there's some resistance, you freak out, lose hope, and ready to kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's trying to like make sure you pass those tests. And like, the more we continue to take those tests, responding in love and in perfect unity, it's like we're trusted with more about how this stuff works and going deeper in the spirit, right? So would you see it like that, just like these testings and stuff of just responding with love? Because you can freak out and get mad. That's going to set you back.
Yeah, exactly.
You can sit in it. Depression, you're going to sit in it, but it's like coming out of it, just being mindful,
I like to say love is the answer to every question. And like, I post a lot of things on Facebook over the years. Controversial things, but when I put love is the answer to every question, people take me to task more than anything else I've ever said. It's so crazy. Well, if love is the answer, then why this? Why this? Why this? And I'm just like, go to love, find out the answer. because that's the thing, like that Jesus taught, like unconditional love, like all day long. That's what he was saying, like that. And then also he was like the number one prover of the law of attraction, right? Like, as you speak it, like it is done unto you, pray believing that you have, you'll receive. Like he said it a million different ways. And I'd say if Jesus was walking the earth today, he'd be going, is this thing on? Is this thing on? Because it's like the words I hear come out of people's mouth, and I'm just like, that word is creation. It's law. Like when you say that, that's happening. Like I can write down right now that you said that negative thing, and I will watch how it will happen to you, like every time. And so it was like, oh, how many more ways could he have said it? So like, be careful with your words, because they all come true, but only every time when you really look at it. You kept a journal of everything you said, it comes true every time. It's just over time. Right? So people forget.
I was even yesterday just mindful about all this stuff in my writing process, and like, it talks about like, there's a lot of stuff that we know, like we read about in the Bible and stuff that we feel like is going to happen in heaven or when Jesus comes back or whatever. But it's like, hold on, like this system is in place now where the scripture talks about like, you're going to give an account for every idle word you spoke. And we're like, that's when we die. We're all going to face it. But it's like now, like those idle words you are speaking now, you have to give an account because they're coming back to you. Like all the idle stuff that you're speaking, the discord that you're sowing in the community, like you have to deal with that now, not in the next life, but this life,
Yeah. And do we not experience both heaven and hell here daily? All the time, in our mind, in our soul, in our heart, right? We have all of that. And that was one of the things that my angel taught me, is like, there is no time and space. There is no then, there is no later. There's only right now. That's it. Every moment is heaven. Every moment is hell. Every moment is creation. Like literally creation, co-creation with Spirit, God, the universe, and you are part of that. You are directly connected and made up of that. And so that's why when I'm telling people like, no, you have access to every answer to every question before you even ask it. And that's because we're made up of it, of the God stuff. So we just need to sit, ask, and listen, tune in, boom, answer comes in. Right? Answer comes into all these questions, and we know them. That's the thing, there's so much like looking outside for the answer. And that's what I did for so many years, looking outside. But every answer is right here inside of me when I sit down and just ask Spirit God for the answer, and just like wait long enough to get the answer. And then they're all there, but only every time. It's amazing. God is good.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing for me about Christ, because he taught that the kingdom was within, like everyone else is telling you, it's without. You have to go somewhere, or you have to talk to somebody or get with the priest. And he's like, no, the kingdom of heaven is within. You don't need anything outside. You just need to find this practice of going within, navigating through that, the hurt and the trauma or whatever, and going within, and you can experience the depths of the universe, of creation, of your situation, and be mindful with all of those beings, with all of the angels, with all of the demons even, let's say that, right? Because they serve their purpose as well. But so I guess this next question is kind of a coupled question, because you have a practice where you're able to meditate, you're able to kind of sit in the presence of God and get those answers for yourself. Now, what about communication? Are you able to call those angels again? And this is a question from Christy Folks in the chat. She wants to know, can we summon angels, right? Sometimes we're given names and things like that, but is that a practice that we can or should be doing, able to summon them, or wanting to kind of move forward, like, hey, I know you're here, let me know you're here? That's a form of summoning as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many ways you could do that. You could Google archangels, right, and find out like Michael, Gabrielle, right, shows up as a woman for me. Some people say Gabriel. I like to say Gabrielle because she's gorgeous, right? So it's like Michael and Gabriel and Uriel and Raphael. Like these show up for me all the time. These are my Fab Four, right? And so I'll call them in like before this call today. Like, use me. Let me be a vessel. Tell me what you want me to share. Like, it's not about me. And I step aside and let them speak and say what I'm saying right now. So yeah, you can call them. And the cool thing is when you Google them, like so many people have seen them that they now say like, Michael does this protection, right? Gabriel help you with your business or questions you need to know. And so if you need a certain something, you can call on them. But my favorite is tap into your guardian angel. Because we all have at least one, right? I shared with you that. So you can say, okay, so my guardian angel, what is your name? Like, show me how you are here for me. Like, show me in ways that there's no way that I could doubt it, right? And so whether that be a whisper in my ear, whether you conjure yourself up so that I can see you one time, I'll only ask for that once because it tires them out big time. But I'll only ask for it once, or show up in what people say to me. Like, you just say what you want, and then you're sit, ask, right? You just did both of those, and now you listen and you show up, and for that day say, how is my guardian angel showing up for me? And watch all the ways they'll poof, 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 boost popcorn style show up for you throughout the day. And by the end of the day, you're like, wow, okay, all right. So you don't always need a huge demonstration, but sometimes you do. Yeah. And that's why it happens, right? That's why I had this one. I needed to step into the calling, the ministry that this is, right? This is not a book. Yeah. This is a ministry. Like, from this point on, I am to teach people how to access their inner guidance system, right? How to teach these things that Jesus was teaching, right? To teach the things that all the incredible people over time, Buddha, Gandhi, like they were all teaching the same thing, put different words on it in a different part, in a different land, right? Is to bring that Christ consciousness. Thank you very much. You speak about, right? To bring that, right? What is unconditional love? What does that really look like? What does that look like? I had a question a couple weeks ago at an event, and someone said, when you're 100 years old and a child asks you, can you sum up your life in one sentence? Can you sum up your life in one sentence? And I went within and I said, I have loved every person on the earth as if they were my child. That's the one sentence. Because over time I've learned, like, I've done so much. I have no right to judge anyone about anything, about nothing. Right. Yeah. So no matter what you do, I will just say, oh, brother, how can I support you? I love you. I feel like, how can I be of service to you? Because no matter what they're going through, like I've been there. Like, there's so few things. If you read the book, right? Like, there's so few things that I haven't had direct experience with that is trauma and got to the other side of, that there's just no way I could be anything other than compassion. And I might forgive for a minute, but not longer than that. I will just get initially triggered and then go, so if I'm judging that person right now, that means that I either was that myself in the past, feel like I am that now, or I will be that thing in the future. One of the three things. Which one is it? Oh, that was me in the past. That's why I'm judging it. Oh, okay, love, right? That's me now. Oh, maybe I better work on that. Love, that's me in the future. I'm afraid of becoming that myself. So what can I do today to make sure that doesn't happen? And how can I support this person now, just with love, no matter what? Because that person, you talk about people taking their lives. Everyone that takes their life, they feel like they're not seen and they're not heard. They feel alone. Like, that's the driving force every time. They feel alone. So if somebody is showing up depressed, I'm like, hey, how's it going, man? Great to see you. I use those words, great to see you. They might have been feeling like they weren't seen. I said, great to see you. Boom, shift happens, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, brother. Guy considers me his brother. Like, the words that I use will leave that person who's, I could tell, was depressed, maybe on their way to do it, right? Heard seen, brother, love. How can I be of service? How can I help you? Can I buy you a meal? Like, just all of that feedback is like, it can't help but shift something. And even if it doesn't, then it was their time. But at least I did my best, right? To make a difference while I could. And we all make a difference, every one of us, every day.
That's deep, man. We talk about that a lot too. Just being intentional with your conversations with people, like looking for like an opportunity to cast off people are going through some stuff, and we talk about the darkness, and we don't know what they're fighting, what they're dealing with, but you could be intentional. We talk about demons a lot, right? We talk about casting demons out of people and off of people. Well, a lot of times these demons come as strongholds and false identities and personas and ideas about themselves that's not for their highest good. And once they agree with that, it becomes what the Bible calls a spiritual stronghold in the mind. So this is an entity that's linked to that. But through coming in contact simply with truth. Now you can cast it off and do a ritual and all that, but just it can come off of them simply through conversation, by being intentional, seeing that light within them. And somebody, like you said, just a perfect example, goes around feeling like they're not loved, and here you are just saying that you see them, calling them brother, and just seeing the best in them, prophesying over them just with your words. Not even nothing super duper miracle, like a miracle or miraculous, but you find out that every moment is a miracle, and every word, again, we talk about being judged, and we're creating with our words. So we it's a big deal. Abracadabra means, I create it as I speak it. The magical incantation, and we're literally creating this stuff, and we have the power to do that. So being intentional with your words is huge, man.
Yeah, every smile.
You're doing music now too, so you understand that.
Yeah, and all my CDs is, my music partner is a genius, right, in the studio, and between the two of us we play everything, and he's a tenor and I'm a tenor, and so we come together and make this magic. But what we do is we write what we need to hear, right? We write what we need to hear, so that every day we can listen to this and there'll be a healing will happen for us, right? It's like a selfish thing, and so we do it and we make it, and we're like, this is really beautiful, and then we start sharing it with people, and they're like, oh, healing happened. Right. And so that's like proof too, that like I could say I did it for me. We can say we did it for us, but we're all connected. We're all one. We're all sharing the one mind. We're all made of a God. So it's like, I made it for me, but I made it for you. And right. So if healing's happening for me, healing's happening for you. And because I wasn't saying I want to write music that will heal them, right, and make it about something now, and then I'm trying to do something, or I'm trying to do something instead of be. Yeah. Right. So I love it. I just love to just be when I'm writing music, and tap in and write what I need to hear, and then it seems to be what everyone else needs to hear as well.
Really I teach people that too, man. During like prayer and ministry, like I don't know what to pray for. I don't know what are you going through? I don't know what to speak about. Well, what are you going through? Because there's other people who are going through it. Well, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. Okay, well, minister to that. Well, some people feel like they can't minister healing because they're still being healed, so they can't like speak as a victor. But in the midst of that, like you're like empathic. You're able to go through that stuff because the collective is dealing with it. It's not just you. We like to feel like it's just us. You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes that's how the healing happens. If you step outside and work to heal someone else, and then the healing happens for them, and then bounces right back to you, right? So the healing happened through you, and they got it, but because it came through you, then you got it too.
Exactly.
And so when we make it about our brother and our sister instead about us, when it comes to that, right? Like when it comes to prayer and ministry and all that, it's like it's not about me, it's about them. It's like my angel events. Like I'm a book publisher, right? I publish other people, which I love to talk to you about getting your book complete. Right.
Oh,
everything that comes from now on is called book 2. Right. You already have it's complete. You can go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Forever. And you will forever. If I don't get you to call it done for now, and everything else is called book number 2, then you'll be writing forever. But as a book guy speaking all over the world, they call me the book guy. I'll have my talk and I'll have my slides, and it'll be like I don't have every word written, but I have the bullet points and I have the slides. So it's going to be pretty much the same talk, right? Filled with a little bit of what's going on right now. When I said, what will this event be? Right? Walking with your angels, I got all the tools and no plan. So every event, like I got the music, I've got some slides, I've got processes, I've got prayer, I've got everything I need, but then I have no plan. So I show up to every event, and I sit up front I play this music we wrote. I am an angel. Can you hear my voice? And it builds and it builds and builds and boom, 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 boom. It's got the drums and all that. And I'm tapping in. And by the end of that, I'm just like, open my eyes and say, go. And it's like, what does the room need? It's not what I think you want to hear. It's not my plan. Yeah. It's like, what does the room need? And if I don't immediately get a do this, then I say, I ask some questions. I get some feedback. I take questions and give answers, or take questions, which drives us into a process. It's just, there's no plan, because it's revealed to me what should happen. So no event is ever going to be the same. Like if people start like following me around like the Grateful Dead, right? They will never see the same thing twice, ever. Awesome. Yeah. So, and trust me, as one who liked to have everything planned to the last second, that took me out of my comfort zone. You mean I'm just gonna like purely rely on Spirit and angels and God to guide me all the way through an all-day event? What's that going to be like? Really, really awesome. That's what it's going to be like. And,
man, I'm trying to find that song right now. That sounds amazing.
It's on my brand new CD, which is CD Baby is like wrestling with us on the artwork. I have no understanding of why they won't take it, but they keep having us try to change something. So as soon as we do, it'll be up. Our band name is Soul Play. SOULPLAY. And if you go to CD Baby right now, our first CD, it's like Soul Play 2, because there's another Soul Play band. But you'll see that mine has like a forest with God rays coming through the forest and all that. That's the first CD that I did with this writing partner, which is Magic. And then this other one is Soul Play Walking with Angels, and it'll be out soon. But that song came when I said, hey, so how will it start? How will the event start? I think that should be the same every time, right? And I heard angels going, I am an angel. Can you hear my voice? And another one came in, I am an angel, right? And they just like started stacking and stacking and stacking. Next thing I know, there's like this choir of angels, and I'm just like, can you hear my voice? Can you hear my, whoa. And I told my partner my vision, and next thing I knew, he sent back this track that was exactly what I heard, and I was just like, wow. Okay.
I gotta make sure I hear that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, you'll love it, especially the music that you do. It's right up your alley. You're gonna be like chills.
Is it tribal at all?
Yes.
Because the way you're doing the drums, I was like,
right. They just come in like, and it builds till it's just like, oh, and then it
wow.
Comes back to the angels, and it's like it's going to be the movie soundtrack. It's going to be on the trailer for the documentary that I'm shooting while I'm out on the road. It's definitely going to be all of that, and it's the beginning of every event.
That's awesome, man, because I'm learning a little bit more about this, and I guess this ties into the next question as well, is the fact that, you're the music, right? Even because I do music, so I'm able to kind of embody, like I talk about my angelic encounters and Holy Spirit adventures, and all these otherworldly experiences are all embodied through my music. And then when the people listen to it, it ignites something within them. They may hear a term that they Google, and that just sets them off on a book or whatever. Like there's no end to it, but it's like as you have that encounter, you're able to kind of bring people with you to the angelic realms, to the heavenly abodes, to the places of meditation and things like that, if they want to go. And it could be done through the arts. So art is so big, especially with the music and what you're doing as well. But now I'm learning, I'm getting into guided meditations. And then so we're introducing characters and angelic figures who are coming, and they're speaking through, like I literally hired voice actors as angels to show up and guide you on a journey, and it's changing people's lives. Like people are literally like coming back in tears, and it's crazy. And then I'm learning it's to be done with the books and stuff as well. People are reading books, and you're able to take them on this journey. You mentioned raising the vibration, right? And so this artwork, the music, the books, all of this stuff is working to raise the vibration of the people, or to not ignite that light. Everyone has that light within them, but it kind of fans it to flame. It blows upon that flame that is already within them. Talk a little bit about like what it's doing, and almost like the it's almost like a ripple effect as well, like touching one person here and it kind of spreads out and all these people, man.
Yeah. Like I said, when he said has a not so great effect on the planet if you're not here, right? And then once my purpose was delivered to me, I was like, oh, but no pressure. I'm only going to raise the vibration of the planet. Okay, what does that look like? So my part in that is a few things. One is that healing happens through my voice. So if you're listening to my voice right now, healing is happening. And maybe it's happening right now. You're in tears right now while you're watching this, or maybe tomorrow, next week, or next month. There's some healing that will happen because you heard my voice. And I only can say that because I started singing in front of crowds, and people would come up like grown men. I haven't cried since I was 3, and I wept all the way through that song. I was sick and now I'm healed. Like I've heard everything, like when I sang. And then it happened when I spoke. Like I would just speak. I didn't even sing at this event. I just spoke, and healing would happen. And so I realized like, oh, okay, so that's one of the ways. That's one of the things they said, healing will happen just by being around me. Right. And then their promise, the angels' promise, and the avatars and Jesus, when I was down at the around the fire, which you'll read about in the book, they said about this book is that anybody who holds it in their hands will be raised to their next level of vibration. That was their promise. And so it took like many years of me saying that, telling people, oh, and they said anybody that holds it in their hands will be raised to the next level of vibration. And one time then it hit me, I said, oh, they didn't even say read it. They just said hold it in their hands, will be raised to the next life. And so then I could see it's sitting on someone's table, right? So like you have that copy, and I can see it sitting on your coffee table. And then someone comes and goes, what's this book? And they pick it up and they flip through it, and then they set it down. They already got what they're supposed to get just by holding it. And so these things get passed around over the years and put on shelves in a library, and all the people who pick it up and hold it, like you tell me that all their vibration is being lifted, like that could make a difference on the planet. Even if it was a subtle little lift, that would still make a difference. So then I was able to, once I heard myself say that, then I was able to wrap my mind around it. Because otherwise it just seemed like, it's I teach people, writers, like not to look at the end result, because you'll get what's called big dream freak out, and that'll take you out from writing in the first place. You're just looking at the big thing going, it's too big, too big, and you just stop. Right? It's next baby step. That's all you ever want to focus on. What's my next little baby step? And you put together all those little baby steps, and the next thing you know, you got your book and you're speaking and you're doing all the things. But if you look at the end result, big dream freak out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, your book's doing well on Amazon. I mean, so it's doing something, right? Some people are getting blessed because of it, and just being able to, like, that transference of energy, like this is, and I keep plugging my book, but I'm fixing to start writing on cursed objects, right? There's demons that hang around objects, but for one thing to be true, the opposite has to be true as well. For there to be such thing as a cursed object or an omen, then there has to be such a thing as a blessed object as well. I mean, the biblical disciples, they had handkerchiefs and pieces of clothing that they would send out and say, hey, send this to so-and-so, because there's a transference of energy. And it's kind of the same thing with the books, right? So it's a really interesting concept that happens, man, when it comes to these. You look at them. I've got books that I haven't read, but they're just like relics. Like you can feel the energy and what's in them just by holding them, I just want it in my library almost,
Yeah, well, my angel, one of the things he really kind of drove into me was that the light always prevails over the darkness. Always, he said. It always wins every time. And so just go to the light every time. And no matter how dark it gets, you just got to go to the light. And there's a story in the book called The Cave where he showed me that. And did you read that part about the cave?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite lessons. Do we have time for me to share that?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, this angel took me to do things that I didn't get to do because I didn't have a father, and then everything was a teaching moment, and so took me out to this up in the mountains or whatever, and there was like a hole in the ground. So we go in this hole in the ground, and it's a cave, right? And so we're in this cave, and as soon as you step out the part where there's that little teeny bit of light in the hole, as soon as you get into it, it's pitch dark. Like you put your hand right in front of your face, you cannot see it. There's nothing but dark. And so he's just like ahead of me about 50 yards, or so, 150 feet ahead of me. And he has the light. He has the flashlight. And so we're walking and we're kind of in silence, and I'm breathing. And then next thing I know, the light goes out. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I start freaking out, and I'm asking him, like, what's going on? Where are you? Where are you? Turn the light back on. And then my mom was claustrophobic. That's one of the things that she battled, my whole life. And I always thought, oh, come on, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling that because I'm in a cave and it's dark, and I'm like, claustrophobia comes in, fear comes in. I'm freaking out. I'm hyperventilating. My heart's beating, and he won't answer me. Right. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And then finally he's like, take a seat, and then take a seat. And then he tells me, that, oh man, where is this story? I couldn't say it the way he says it, but so I'm freaking out, and he's telling me that ultimately he tells me, sit down, breathe, just breathe, and he gets me to bring my heart rate down. It gets me to calm down because I can hear his voice now. Still no light. And finally, when I'm just like, I'm calmed down, then he just turns the light back on, and he's standing in the same exact spot he was standing in when the light went out. And all I had to do was walk 100 feet in a straight line. I would have bumped into him. He was there the whole time. And so he told me that even when it's dark, the light is always there. It's always there. It's always there for me. And so there's no reason to fear the darkness. It will come upon you. The darkness will come upon you, but the light will always prevail, and it's always there. You need to just walk 100 feet and you'll bump into it. That was like his message. And I channeled through exactly what he said in the book, and I memorized it, but that's the essence of it. Yeah. And because when I sat down to write this book, I remembered every word. That's what was crazy. Like he said, I said, she said, like I remembered every word, and I just captured it. And then sometimes it escapes me because it's not about words. It's about what happened. So, so he said that so many ways, like I said, Jesus said about, I and the Father are one. Like it happens as you believe. He said a million different ways. Well, this man said a million different ways. Like the light always will prevail over darkness. So it's just remembering that when you're in the darkness, that's the key, right? And calling it in. Call in the light, call in the spirit, call in Christ consciousness, call in the good, and it will prevail. And sometimes it takes a minute, but it will prevail.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can never really tell. Sometimes it takes 6 years. Sometimes it takes 3 years. Sometimes it takes 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, 6 minutes, 6 seconds. Like, you never can tell. I think you get better at trusting the process so that you hold your peace or whatever. But, but if you believe it and you're able to manifest it and your faith works cohesively through love. Like love is what fuels faith to be in action. Right?
Yes.
And shows that you truly believe it. The cave just in and of itself, man, is so symbolic and deep and mystical within the Bible. For one, I mean, there's so much info about the cave, and it's the place that you hide from your enemies, and but then you have the temple rituals and passing through the cave, and you must go through the cave and make sure that you don't get lost. And like there was this like different rituals and stuff where they would have like so-called people dressed up like monsters in there to see if you can make it through to the other side. And usually there's like breakthrough when you make it to the other side of the cave. It's symbolic for starting a new phase of your journey, or just this rite of passage and like initiation and stuff like that. That's a cool word, initiation. Have you have any revelation on that as far as like, I know Greg Braden, and I love the way he says this, but he says that we are all initiated into the spiritual mystery schools. I'm talking about taking these tests, right? Where everyone's taking these tests, and we're on different levels and different grades and things like that. But we are all a part of that school in the initiation. Was there ever like a testing or like this, like, hey, you're one of us now? You like, especially when they departed and say, look, you've passed everything. I've you know what I'm saying, left everything that I needed to leave you and shown you everything. Was there anything like that going on?
So many times. One of them came through my my second book, Who Do You Think You Are? Discover the Purpose of Your Life. I like I said, I had always put outside of me, like looked to other people, right, as my idols, right, and put them on a pedestal, and they're so much greater than me. And so finally, with this book, it came from Spirit, like that, what this book was to be. And so the difference was, before, when I tried to get all these people to do anything with me, like, I failed every time. They didn't want to work with me because I was needy, and you want to get away from need, right? You just go away from it. So then I showed up for this project, and I knew, like, it was a God thing. I knew that, like, this book was going to touch lives no matter what or who I had in it. Yeah. So then I did what I did differently with that book than I had ever done before. Was every day I would sit down and put my plan aside and say, what's my next step? And that's where I really got to be just kind of so good at sit, ask, and listen, right? And then I would wait and wait and wait. And that was the time where I waited 2 days without anything. And then once I got it, though, I downloaded a process of how to ask all these famous people to be in the book that ultimately ended up I asked 80 people to be in the book, and 68 people said yes. Of the 12 no's, 10 was the publicist, not the person. So only 2 people said no out of 80 people to be in the book. And these are famous people. And those 2 people just didn't want to be vulnerable. They didn't want to answer the questions I was asking because they have their wall up and they're not going to share that.
Persona,
right? So without that, it was really 80 for 80, which is like, are you kidding me? So, but the initiation was that I had always put them on a pedestal, and part of me with this book project, because I knew I needed to go from speaking from 20 people to 1,000 people. I needed to start touching lives in a big way because I was playing small. And I said, I will know when I'm ready for the big stage when these people speak of me as doing the same work that they do. When they see me at the same level. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then I'll know it's time. Wow. So show me that. So we did like a teleseminar where I had some of these people on when the book came out. And so I had people from the movie The Secret that were in the book, and they showed up, and this man who was hosting, who normally charges $5,000 for one teleseminar, did it for free, right? And he was in the book, and he taught me how to do this launch and everything. And so he's asking John DeMartini from the movie The Secret, Dr. John, he says, so Keith was like, Keith who? When he sent this email. He was like, Keith who? And so what took him from Keith who to I have to be in this book? Like, I need to know that, right? And he said, wow, well, he sent me this email, and the subject line was like, whew, like I could just feel through the subject line I needed to read it. So I clicked it open, and then when I clicked it open, it was like everything that he said, it was like, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is the work that I'm here to do on the planet. And he's doing it too. And so I'm like, got God bumps from head to toe when he's saying this, right? I'm just like weeping. Wow. And he's like, and if he's doing what I do, then why wouldn't I support that? Why wouldn't I say yes to that? So yes was the only answer to the question, will you be in my book? And I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. And then, okay, all right, it's time. And then that's when I started reaching out to bigger venues, and they were like, yeah, come, because of the, so that was an initiation. That was me taking that next step. Yeah. And it took these people, because they all said that, Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, Marsha Shamoff, like Christianity, I would like the list is long of these famous people were all saying, Keith, the work that you do is equal, if not more important than what I'm doing. They were saying those words to me, if not more, if not better, if not greater, they were saying. And I was just like, oh, and so they were the ones who had to drill it into me before I believed it enough to step into it. Right. And really be willing to step out there raw in front of 1,000 people and cry through it, Wow. Because I'm an empath and I feel everybody's energy, and I had to get a hold on that, because 20 people is okay, but you step in front of 1,000 as an empath, right? You're gonna feel everyone's stuff, and you got to find a way to process that and while you're on stage. And so I had to go through all that. So that transformation from transportation from 20 to 1,000 was a heck of a jump, and energetically an initiation.
Oh, sure, man. And it's so funny. It's not funny. It's awesome the way it happened with your personal breakthrough of like, because I know, because, you know, we share a similar story as far as like growing up without a father, and, you know, but there's a beautiful scripture. God says, I will become a father unto the fatherless. So it's almost like a secret blessing in it for you. It's like, you know what? I'm going to teach you. I'll take you under my wing. It's almost like it's like a prerequisite for the Spirit. Like, hey, I got him. He's mine. You know,
right?
And so, there's things that you're looking for, and a lot of times it's like validation from a man, and we're always searching for validation. But it's like when you got over the seeking validation from men, when you got over that, then it came. Like,
and God showed up as them.
Exactly.
God showed up as them, and they all took me under the wing and said, "I got you."
Exactly. It came when you gave it up. It's like, you know what? I'm validated by God. And once you understood that, then it was manifest. It was manifested into reality where everyone was like, "Look, you know, so we vouch for him. He's us." You know.
Crazy. And they all spoke to that email, like feeling through the email, just through the subject line that they had to open it. And then when they opened it up, they said, it was just like, I could feel the energy coming off that email. I mean, yes. That was the energy. I started calling it the Yes Project, because everyone that opened up that email was a yes. Everyone, right? Yes. So it's like, he's like, you can't outgive God, right? So I just kept sending it out and getting yes and going, okay. And they interviewed all these people, like 64 interviews, and put in this thick book, and it changed everything, because they all taught me everything they knew. So I did a joint venture book launch. I learned from Joe Vitale, who created joint venture book launches. I did that. They all had came fresh out of The Secret, so they had email lists of 100,000 plus each, and I had 10 of them. So 1.5 million emails went out the day of the book launch. Said, if you get the book, by the way, I'm in it. If you get the book today, you get $8,000 worth of free bonuses from all of us, people in The Secret and other people, and so go get the book. And so the launch that they taught me got it up on the list to number 2, and only number 2 because 2 weeks before that book came out, Oprah held up Eckhart Tolle's unknown book about life purpose. He had it for years and sold 2 copies. She held up his book about life purpose and made it the topic of the world 2 weeks before the launch. When you know it's a God thing and you're on course, is when Oprah holds up and makes it the topic of your book. You're the topic of the world, right? And so my launch got me right underneath his book. You think I was happy with number 2? Yes, I was, because that algorithm that says if you love his book, then you'll love this book, and $10 more, you get free shipping, right? And so people are just like, add to cart. If they weren't there from our launch, they were there from his, and then they were just adding to cart. So it just went sold and sold and sold and sold. And man, back in the old days, you every time you got money, you would get an email on AOL. It said, you've got money. You've got money. And all day we just kept hitting refresh. All day, refresh. And it would go, you've got money. And the first book we had sold, 12 copies of, because we didn't know what to do. It was a relationship book endorsed by John Gray, and I couldn't sell it because I didn't know how, and that book hit bestseller list because of the same algorithm. If you love that book from Keith, you'll love this, $10 more free shipping. So next thing you know, we had two bestsellers at the same time on the front page of Amazon. They didn't have like now where it's like subcategory of subcategory of a subcategory bestseller. This was on the front page of all books in the world, number 2.
Wow. That's awesome.
For weeks. That's, you're on course when everything's a yes, right? Everything's a yes. Everybody's a yes. You're a yes. And that's the thing, when you just keep showing up to God saying, I'm a yes, use me. Like, how can I be more loving? How can I be of service? How can I love more? How can I help more? Keep showing up in that question.
That's awesome, man. It's about impact and just impacting lives and souls and making sure that you're on that journey. You know what I'm saying? Making sure you're in your perfect place where you're supposed to be. And everything just kind of starts unfolding. The synchronicities, the emails, like, and this is awesome you say that, like, they already knew as soon as they seen it, because they're in touch with spirit, right? Even if they're not, there's still this nudge that's like, hey, you need to do it, right? So it just works. He's working all things together for our good. Like that, I believe the scripture when it says that, man. Bro, that's awesome, man. Let people know where they can go to check out the book. I know there's a bunch of different places to get it from, but where's the best place to check out the book?
The best place to go is walkingwithmyangelsbook.com. walkingwithmyangelsbook.com. And when you go there and then you purchase the book and you come back and put in your purchase order number, then you get tons of cool free bonuses, like $1,620 worth of free stuff from some of the people that endorsed the book, people you'll know, right? They gave me gifts to give you because we want to not just give you a book, but we want to give you the support that goes with that book so that you can start to use the tools that you learn in the book and that you'll learn in the video that I give you. And so I kind of set you on your first steps of this journey, if they are your first steps, and if not, to remind you of what you already know, right? And so walking with myangelsbook.com, you go there. And then if you want to just find out about other kind of more about me or some of the other support products and things that we have, you can go to beyondbeliefpublishing.com, beyondbeliefpublishing.com. And I just did that website, so you can kind of it's more up to date about this, other than our main site is about writing books and the publishing piece that I've been doing for 15 plus years. So and if you want to write a book and you want to write it without having to write one single word, just show up to 7 phone calls, go to leonsmithpublishing.com, leonsmithpublishing.com. Check it out.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on, hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. What's next? So you got, we talked about the, walking with my angels, but is there going to be a Your Angels coming out? Is that what we got?
Everything after that is Your Angels. So all the live events, Walking with Your Angels, the CD, so Walking with Angels, I have daily inspiration cards, which are Walking with Your Angels cards, and you pull one a day and it tells you like where to put that focus we were talking about for the day, and it'll be the one that you need. So everything except for this book is Walking with Your Angels, and this one is because it's my life story. So that's why I put the word my there instead of yours. But yeah, and then who knows, my publicist who's also doing the documentary film with me. She's an award-winning documentary filmmaker and also was the vice president of many movie companies. She's already to the documentary, which turns into the movie, right? She's already out there. And like I said earlier, no big dream freak out for me. So I'm like, oh, you go ahead and keep all that in your purview, because I'm here to just show up. I'm here to show up at these events, give love, receive love, right? Teach, receive knowledge, right? That's my focus right here, right now, and she can have all that stuff in the future. But so there is only right now, so I'm going to stay in it. But I can imagine there's going to be a follow up of some sort, and I would think Walking with Your Angels would be most likely the people who have transformation from this, telling their stories about what happened, because I'm already receiving those, and it's just it's a miracle. And when that's the thing about you finishing your book, right? I want to talk to you about you finishing your book, is because when that book comes out, someone's going to get it and they're going to read it, and then they're going to stand before you with tears coming down their face saying, thank you for writing that book. Thank you so much. Here's how it changed my life. And when that first person standing in front of you with tears coming down their face, it's going to be worth every obstacle, everything that you face to get that book done. Will be worth it in that moment. And you won't care if you sold 1 copy or 1 million copies, because it's worth it just for that. If you made a difference to one.
It's definitely happened with my music. It happens all the time with my music. I have, and with the meditate, everything I'm doing, if I'm mindful and I'm just trusted with the information, it's happened with this, with my music. It's happened with this, the meditation. So it's like the book is next, but I tell you how draining it is. It is so draining, because I'm literally fit, and this is, I know it's part of it when we create art and things, but I'm really feeling like I'm taking a piece of me and just putting it in, and I feel drained after, and I have to, it's hard to pull away because you're just wanting to, it takes a lot of work, but I feel so like, man, this is so draining, but it's going to be so worth it to get it out. And you're just like remembering things and searching and making sure that you got it all, you know? It's so draining.
Well, the only good book is one I can hold in my hands, and the only perfect book is one I can hold in my hands. Yeah. Right?
You're not the only one who said that. Everybody's like, just do it in volumes, bro. Just do it in volumes, because you're gonna just keep coming up with stuff, you know.
Exactly, and every day that you don't put it out, like those of us that are waiting for it aren't getting it.
That's it. Well, let's talk, man. I need help.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that.
Man, I really enjoyed this interview, brother. We'll have to do it again. And look forward to working with you, Keith. Thanks so much, man.
Pleasure. All right, brother. Take care.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Keith Leon S., ladies and gentlemen. Man, good, really good interview. We had so much in common, man. Just like, I mean, just so much, man. Just even that validation, looking for that, and then once you know that you're validated in God by the angels, by the demons, by the spirits, by the ethers, by the saints, you're validated, man. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're created with a destiny and a purpose, and when you come into alignment with that, there's nothing you can do to talk me out of that, right? And knowing who you are, and knowing whose you are, who you belong to, the Creator, and you created for a purpose. Nobody can talk. That's your validation, man. It's knowing that. That's why I believe the scriptures are so powerful, and just giving us examples and verses and things to kind of reiterate and remind us of that. I mean, that's what I read when I read the Bible, right? But it was so funny. He kind of spoke about that, because I know in the last podcast I kind of touched on this a little bit about the person. We went to this conference. Huge conference, over like 9,000 people there. And, you know, I told this story, I'll tell it again, but there was a guy who, when we got there, he was outside and he was looking at me. I thought he looked familiar. I thought he was a friend of mine from Facebook. So I'm kind of looking at him, and he's kind of looking at me and smiling or whatever. And I'm like, hello, you know, I don't want to, you know, not acknowledge him if he's my friend, you know, I don't know who he is. Then I go sit down kind of close to him. He comes over to me, and I feel like he's fixing to give me a word or something, just because it was a prophetic Christian charismatic conference, and there's a lot of people praying for each other and speaking words over each other. You could kind of see it happening outside. You know, everybody's in between waiting for the next service. But he says, "Hey, are you TruthSeekah?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is you, man. Oh, I can't believe I'm meeting you right now." And he was just kind of blown away and shocked to meet me. I was like, "Well, how do you know me?" He said, "Well, I listen to the podcast. I listen to your podcast and your music, and I love the stuff you're doing with Kingdom Talks and Gil and those guys." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome, man." He's like, he was just in shock. He's like, "Man, he said, you don't know what this means to me to meet you here." And yeah, that was beautiful, just to be recognized or whatever, and to share that moment with him. But the more beautiful part for me, because the guy who led me to the Lord or discipled me early on, we don't really talk that much, but he was there. He came with me to the event, and he, you know, what I'm into is so like unique and it's different, and I'm kind of, you know, trailblazing my own path or whatever. So a lot of people kind of in the church realm kind of pull back. You know, we talk about all of this, we talk about whatever, right? But I have my foundation, and it's still Christ for me. But so they don't really agree with a lot of the things that I do. And but he was there, and the fact that he saw this random person, the person was from Gainesville. He was like, I think Gainesville's like 7 hours away or something. It's like a long ways away from where he was, to come to the event. This random person kind of give like a validation about my ministry and what I bring to the table, and for him to be able to see that and hear that from some random third party person was just like the validation. You know what I'm saying? Because in a way we all seek it, especially from, whether it's from our parents, from this guy is kind of like like my spiritual father in a sense. But you know what I'm saying? And then for them to see the impact, say, look, you don't have to agree with what I do or believe in it or anything. Like, you're missing out if you don't at this point. But it was just beautiful for him to be able to see that, and to see how much my work has touched someone who, you know, It's from a third party or whatever. So that validation that we're seeking, man, it's there. Again, just like what Keith was talking to, like the angels, like showing him how to be a man and do practical manly things, right? You know, I talk about all the time. It's like, I feel like God took me under his wing and became a father to me. And there were jobs that I got early on where I learned how to do things that, you know, men should learn how to do, like, but from their father. I feel like God gave me a job, even if the job was only for, you know, a couple months, couple years, whatever. There was things that were imparted to me, like how to use a shovel, how to change oil. You know what I'm saying? All of these little practical things that you do with your dad. You go out there and change the oil with your dad. You learn how to cut grass. You learn how to, you know, do all these little things that I didn't know how to do because I had no father, but I could see, even though like doing it, like it wasn't fun and I don't glory in changing oil. Like, it's not my thing, but like I can do it now. I can change the oil. I can change tire. I can like change brake pads and stuff. So being able to step back and look and see God's hand moving in every situation of our lives, no matter where we are, and say, okay, I see what he was doing. Because again, I don't glory in it. Like I didn't, it's not fun. Like I didn't like, yeah, teach me more. No, I was like, it's kind of taught by force. Get your butt out here and learn, you know, that kind of thing. Get out here and cut this grass, you know. But just to be able to see God's hand moving in everything that we do. And he's talking about like, once you bring that forth, which is in you, the book, the music, whatever it is, the blog, I don't care, whatever God's called you to do. Once you bring it, like, and if it's of spirit, like people are going to resonate with it. Obviously, so having, you know, more people than not is right what we want to do, but it only takes that one, like he said. And I knew early on when I first started rapping, when I first started doing music, and we did a birthday party here, I think it was, from my birthday. We had a bunch of bands play and did a house show. And it was one of my first times I rapped in front of people and did a concert. And like people were in tears and they said like, man, I feel the Holy Spirit when you rap. And like that was like the greatest compliment to this day that I can ever receive and ever get, is that you feel the Spirit of God through the work that I'm bringing to the table, through the hip hop, through the CDs, through the meditations, through the writing, through the interviews, you know, through conversations now. And it's about being mindful with that. And so there's no greater validation than that. There's no greater compliment than someone being able to link it back to say like, you look, your work and what you've done, sticking your head out, doing what you're doing has been a bridge between me and God. Your music, your ministry has reconciled me back to God through Christ and through you just being you. And this isn't, I'm not tooting my own horn. This is for all of us. I'm just letting you know, like, if you have a bigger validation, let me know. But I don't think that there's any. I don't think there's anything that you can tell me that is a greater validation. And it's all about the one. You know, it's the masses, but pinpointing in, it's about the one. It's about lives. Again, being that ripple effect. That was kind of some revelation I got about the flower of life. That it's even represents the ripple effect, because there's one in the middle, there's one circle, and then it touches another one, and then they touch. And so these are circles within circles that are just expanding and getting bigger with this symbol, the sacred geometry. And it's just like the ripple effect, starting here and just going out, touching everyone around you. We talked about the ripple effect with water. We talk about fires, even we have that fire within us, and that we start little brush fires wherever we go. That's what Jesus did. Just starting little fires, man. Look, you reach 12, you reach 12, you reach 12. Train them up. They're going to reach 12. And then those 12 are going to reach 12. And it's going to expand. And you're going to change the world with the power of love. It's beautiful, man. Bringing forth that which is in you that is good. Bringing it out and manifesting it. Tools, sitting in silence, mindfulness. Scripture says, peace, be still, and know that I am God. And just the power of that, of just sitting still and trying to listen, trying to hear what God is speaking, what God is saying. And like Keith said, just keep coming back to that. Keep coming back to that. Just, okay, this is my question. And then the beautiful thing is, like, once you start it there in the secret place, you may start it in the prayer closet or in the meditation, but he may answer you through the television, like he said. You may ask a question, and then you're watching television, and they like reiterate your question. Like, what? and then the person that they're talking to on TV gives an answer, and like that's your answer. Like, I'm telling you, God speaks through and uses all things. Can you see the writing on the wall? The radio, I mean, synchronicities. There's so many that it blows my mind, and I really understand it. I understand to follow it just as God's breadcrumbs. Almost like was it Hansel and Gretel just getting lost or whatever, they putting down the breadcrumbs. But man, there's just little breadcrumbs that Spirit is just leaving out there, little signs. Here I am, I'm over here. Just like the Israelites going through the desert, they followed the presence of God as a cloud by day and a fire by night, and they were taken care of. They didn't know where they were going, but they just had to stay on course and follow God that was before them, leading their path and guiding them where they were supposed to go. One of the most beautiful stories in synchronicity for me was there was a guy, this has been some years ago, probably 2012, who had been checking out my music, checking out my podcast early on, and he was really moved by it. He was a Christian serving in the church, and he knew some of the things we talked about are fringe. They're outside of the norm, outside of the box. If he told his wife, if he told his pastor, they would say, hey, stay away from that guy, right? There's sacred geometry and symbols, and so they would say stay away. But he knew, but there was something within him that was like drawn to what we were doing. So he would reach out to him and say, hey man, I really love your work, blah, blah, blah. And we were doing an event in Louisiana. And so we had to we were going to be driving by this guy's town. So we were talking, communicating. I said, hey man, we're coming that way. We should link up. And he said, oh, that'd be cool. But then part of him was like, nah, like if I'm not supposed to hang around TruthSeekah, if my people find out that, you know, they're gonna be mad at me. Church, religion, right? So anyway, he's wrestling within himself if he should contact me. I think he told himself he's not gonna do it. Then he's sitting in traffic on Facebook and he's in prayer. And he's saying, you know, he's wrestling. Should I reach out to TruthSeekah? Should I, you know, invite these guys over or whatever? He's sitting in traffic in Louisiana, and there's a van ahead of him, and he's got his phone. He's on my profile, fixing to call me or send me a message. He's wrestling with it. He looks up, and there's a huge TruthSeekah bumper sticker on the back of the van that says "Seek Truth," TruthSeekah.com. And he looks up, and then for him, it was like perfect confirmation. Like, yeah, I need to do this. And a random van in Louisiana where this guy was, the bumper sticker, for him, everything clicked. He called me on our trip. We got to go through. We got to meet him, sit over at his house for a little while, meet his family. We spent some time fellowshipping and some time in prayer. And it was a beautiful experience that if he might not have seen that, we wouldn't have experienced it. But it's following the signs, whatever it may be. You know, it's not it once you are able to know that you can see God in everything, then you start seeing him in everything. You start becoming mindful. You can see him in the conversation. You start seeing him in places where other people don't see him. God's not in that. God is not in this. It's so funny. Like even some of there was like comments on my event. God is not in this. Like, what do you mean God is not? Who are you? Like to say God is not in this. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? And to say like, that's the thing we be able to look at, say God is this, God is not that. No. He's all of it. It's all of like consciousness, the universe, angels, all of it. God is in the midst of all of it. But if there's anything lacking in the perception, it's your perception. Like you fail to see God in the situation, in all things. There's a story that Manly P. Hall wrote in his book, The Way of the Lonely Ones, which is a collection of stories that he wrote. And it was about this guy who's going through on this journey through the forest, and he ends up having this encounter with Christ in the woods, right? And it shook him, it changed him, this encounter with Jesus. And so after that, the guy's kind of like plagued because everywhere he looks, he sees the image and face of Christ. Everywhere that he looks, he looks at the water and the ripples in the pond, and he sees the face of Christ. He's looking in the trees, the wind's blowing. Everything that he's looking at is plagued with the beauty and glory of Christ. And then that's where you have to be. I'm telling you, in this place where you see his hand moving and everything. Like Keith said, like even the bad stuff, like you feel like it's a punch in the stomach, you lost a friend. Listen, nothing is happening to you. It's all happening through you. Like, God's good, getting those people out of your life for a reason. Sometimes we attract drama to ourselves. Sometimes we attract hurting people. And that's a problem with people who have the gift of seeing and seeing with second sight and being able to prophesy and see the best in someone. We start hanging out with people who are like, they don't want to change. We can see them healed, walking in wholeness and bringing forth goodness throughout their life, but they don't care about it. Now we're committed. No, we're going to do it. I see the best in you. I see the potential. We're all guilty of that. But then that person doesn't want change. So we end up in these situations with all these people who are dirty people. Like they don't care about you. They'll rip you off. They'll cut your head off and with the drop of a dime. You know what I'm saying? But we have this weird vision of like, we're just trusting and believing for them. And a lot of us end up in weird situations because of that. God has a beautiful way of being able to take those people out of your life when the time comes. Because if you're stepping in your destiny, you can't have all these people who essentially become liabilities to your business, to your family, to your finances. You know, people take your kindness for weakness. There are people who are able to prey upon empaths. There are people who psychically, they tap into their abilities and they know who weak people are. They know how to manipulate people and get money, get finances, get friendship, use you, abuse you, throw you out. They're on to the next one. Like, God has a good way of getting those people out of our lives. So when you lose a friend, when people are gossiping and they're burning bridges, look, count it all joy. When trials and tribulations come upon you, when people speak all manner of evil against you, count it all joy, because where you're going, they can't come with you. You can't take those people with you. They got to step off. You got all these people in your boat. Nobody's helping. Nobody's help rowing the boat with you on your journey. They're just riding. They're just along for the ride. They're riding your coattail. Some of them are, if you look in the back, if you look at their hands, they're like trying to drill holes in the boat because they're plotting on your demise. They want what you got. I'm telling you, just being able to see the hand of God moving, no matter where you are, the good, the bad, the ugly. Listen, that's a place of gratitude. That's a place of perfect peace. It's a beautiful place. Man, so much goodness, man, just to be able to sit in the presence of peace and just everything Keith said, man, just being able to be led by your guardian angels. Some of us are able to see them. Some of us not. Some of us are able to hear them. Some of us not. But it's about sitting in that place of peace. I mean, I have the plumb lines ahead of me, which is something that Gil and his wife came up with about this level of unity. And one of the plumb lines is ask the Father, right? To sit in that place of peace, to sit in that place of solace and meditation and ask the Father, God, what would you have me to do? God, can you open the door? God, am I supposed to be here? If you don't ask the questions, you'll never get the answers. So it's about having that practice of being able to ask the question, get the answer, and then the time of manifestation, how long that will take to bring it into fruition. But the dreams and visions that God has given you, they're there for a reason. He's not here to taunt you with them. You know, I know I felt like that for a long time. You know, I felt like they were just lingering over me. You know, like you just beyond our grasp, just out of our reach. But they're there. You have to get yourself ready. You have to do the inner work, pass the test, because there's different levels, and those other people ain't really, they're not for you. They're really against you. So understanding who your friends are, understanding, you know, there's different levels of people. Even with Jesus, like there was 5,000 people that he would open air preach and share beautiful teachings and stuff. And then within the 5,000, then he had 30. Then there were his 12. And then within the 12, he had 3 that he was able to share himself with. and be open and honest with those three, because they wanted to know. They were there. He could count on them, right? Same with us. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Been having some good guests lately. Really enjoyed this episode. If you like to support, like to check out what I'm bringing to the table through the music and all that cool stuff, check out my Patreon. There's a bunch of really cool stuff there. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. 200 songs, meditations, all of that stuff. For those of you who are a part of the seer class and a part of that level, you get access to the meditations. So they're there as well. You get to download those as well. So all the meditations that are out, I'm going to be working on some more. I guess I'll just go ahead and speak it out there. I'm going to do another meditation, which is the I Am meditation. I'm going to be working on. There's two that I have in mind. One is the I Am meditation, and it is simply speaking out the I ams, just like it's more of an affirmation than a meditation, I'll say, but you can sit in the presence and tap into that and repeat them, or just have them spoken over you or played in the background. It's going to be good. I'm going to go through and speak out a bunch of I ams that have really worked for me. I know I've spoken about this before, but in my bathroom mirror, I have a marker. And as the silhouette of my body is in the mirror, I have I am written really big above my head, and then a bunch of things that the Bible says about me that I am. I am blessed. I am healed. I am saved. I am set free. I am more than a conqueror. And there's all of these different powerful I am. So I'm going to put those in there, to put it there just to remind yourself, in the mirror. We need to be reminded. Again, we got crosses and necklaces and charms and rings and books and all of these things that act as a reminder. Sometimes you forget, so you need to be reminded. Why? To stay mindful and stay in the moment. So with that being said, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat. I see you guys. I see everybody hanging out. Christy folks, Home Sauce, Melody. Christy says, I apologize for messing up your chat. Would you mess up the chat? What'd you do? Adam Starseed, Stacy Flowers, Chris Garner, all the beautiful people hanging out in chat. 1,100 days at a time. Love the chat. I don't know why this isn't live on Facebook anymore. Shout out to Martin Smith. See you there, brother. Savayam Baba, shout out to you. Mike DeCare, Vana, PPLJ. Good day, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Love y'all. We're going to do it again. Peace, and chicken grease. Later.
Your way so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.